Okay, now we are moving on to the next tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to work on dog eye, pet eye, demonic pet eye, whatever you want to call it. It's been called all three of those. And the difference between pet eye and humans' red eye is that typically pets have a greenish or a yellowish tint to their eyes when they react to the flash. It's just because their blood cells obviously are different than humans' blood cells in the back of their eyes. So we're going to zoom in on the dog's eyes. You can get a good look here. You can see that both of his eyes have some coloration to them. And what we got to do differently here is come up with a different process altogether. Now, what works well that I've found is to go over and to select your eyes, or your dog's eyes, is to use the quick selection tool. That's different than the magic wand, so make sure you have a quick selection tool. And then what you want to do is simply click and drag around the eye so you select all those color areas. And I am being a little bit careful here, but you'll see even though it went a little bit farther, it should adjust itself, which it did. And now, since a quick selection tool, what's nice is you can add on additional areas of the picture and not deselect the other spot that you just previously highlighted. And if you notice in the eyes, it didn't quite cover the entire colored area. So what's nice is we can go up to Select, Modify, and Expand, and then I think go and expand by 1 pixel should be fine. So now our selection has increased a little bit, and it looks pretty good. Now, most people like to have the glints, the white part reflection from the flash. They like to keep those in their photos for whatever reason. I know it's not a natural thing. You don't see glints too often in eyes, but when it comes to photos, that happens quite frequently, so it's just almost like a natural thing anymore. So what we want to do to keep that glint in our out of our selection is we want to hover over top of it, hold down the Alt key, and just simply click it once. If your brush is too large, remember to decrease or increase the size, what have you. You don't want to deselect parts of the green because that'll take away, from the final picture. So I'm going to also deselect this glint, and that's looking pretty decent. Okay. The reason why we didn't create a second layer of the same picture is because when we go about this next process, where I'm going to hit Control J to copy those eyes to a second layer, is that second layer is automatically created. So there's no point in making a second layer of the entire picture when we're going to copy specific items over. And I'm going to make the original layer hidden so we can look at the eyes here. And both eyes, you can see, are on the second layer. Now the next important step here is for this layer, you want to lock the transparent pixels. And this basically means in this process that we can only paint on the eyes themselves. The transparency, that you see like the checkered tiles in the background, those we're not going to be able to paint on. If the transparency lock was not on, we would be able to paint all over the place. And we want to just make sure that we paint on the eyes only. Now, next step is to select your brush tool. And we want to make sure, because earlier we used the brush as lighten, now we want to change it to darken. And for covering these eyes up with your paint, is you want to make sure you don't completely rid the eyes of some sort of tint. So we're going to change the opacity down to, I'd say, 75 to 80%. I'm going to go 80% here. Well, no, actually I'm going to go down to 77. That sounds funny, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. Change it down to 77. Make sure your brush is selected black, and I'm doing so right now. It's for sure black. And before you paint over the eyes, you want to rid them of the color saturation. So what we do there is we hit Control-Shift-U. And now you notice, I'll zoom in here, you'll notice the eye is now black and white only. And this helps when we paint over it to make the color completely disappear. Obviously it's black and white now, so the color is gone, but we just get a more natural look overall when we're finished painting over it. And with the paintbrush, since we locked the transparent pixels, we don't have to worry about going out here. Like I'll click out here, nothing happens. But as soon as I go over the eye, it paints over the eye. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with the other eye. And then bring the invisible layer back in. Zoom out a little bit. And the dog looks pretty natural. I say that's a pretty good way of ridding the dog's pet eye. And if you want to mesh the layers together, you'd go Layer and then Flatten Image, which is below your screen, sorry. And now we have just one layer, and then you simply would go to File, Save As, and this part is done.